minutes and 52 seconds. Seeing as though that was not a first cycle speech, the chair will not hold a 1 minute questioning block. Any and all such questioners, please rise. I believe that goes to Senator Srini.
Are the other Pacific Islands that you mentioned in your speech, do people live there?
I don't remember off the top of my head.
Well, if people weren't to live there, then why should they receive representation when there's not people living there?
Right. Well, aside from that, when we have when we acquire new territories, how will we determine? We won't know how to determine how many should get a senator, because if it even has just a small population, it doesn't make sense to give them the same rights as a state.
But for those Pacific Islands that you were talking about that wouldn't get it.
Senator, that was just an example.
What's the harm in increasing at least some degree of representation we see in Senate?
Right, so as my fellow senators have come up and said time and time again, this is just treating them as second class citizens. We should pass legislation to ensure they have the same citizenship rights as people in the main island.
And do all of these territories in this legislation actually want that?
I cannot say that for sure. I'm not going to speak on their behalf.
So why should we be forcing that onto them?
Oh, we are not forcing anything. I'm simply saying we
Questioning
should.
block has elapsed and speaker may take their seat.
I'm simply saying we should look at that piece of legislation for granting the state. I think the
Seeing as
chair.
though the chair thanks you. Seeing as though that was a speech in the negation, any and all such. Alright, the chair now seeks a speech in the affirmation. Any and all such speakers, please rise now. Senator Segerson.
I think the chair, excuse me, my name is Representative Segerson, spelled Seggerson, and I will get started when I get an indication from all those above me. Picture a grand table where the future of our nation is decided. A table where every state has a seat, every voice is heard, and every vote holds weight. But just beyond its edge, 5 chairs sit empty. Their rightful occupants are present, yet unheard, watching as their futures are debated without them. Today, we do more than just pull those chairs to the table. We acknowledge that they should have never been cast aside in the first place. Representation is not a privilege granted by geography. It is a fundamental principle of democracy. This resolution is not just an amendment, it is a long overdue commitment to ensuring that every American, no matter where they live, has a voice in the Senate. First, you pass today for nations under this legislation who have faced numerous disasters where full and timely relief has been complicated by their lack of full voting representation in Congress. And second, because of the inequality in Medicaid funding. Senator Sylvester mentioned that these territories often get cheated out of money, but there is a reason that they often need more money than other parts of the United States. The territories included in this bill are particularly susceptible to hurricanes, typhoons, earthquakes, and droughts. For instance, between 2015 and 2020, the Northern Mariana Islands and Guam experienced 3 major typhoons. The U.S. Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico were severely impacted by hurricanes Irma and Maria in 2017, leading to prolonged recovery efforts. And even though these territories receive so much damage from these natural disasters, they often receive little aid from our federal government. In the wake of Hurricane Maria in 2017, FEMA provided some funding to Puerto Rico, but according to NYU in August of 2024, Puerto Rico received significantly less than Texas and Florida, which had also been impacted by major hurricanes that same year. Moreover, the federal government did an internal investigation and found that FEMA mismanaged $257 million in Puerto Rico after Hurricane Maria. This same mistreatment is also done to the Virgin Islands. According to the New York Times in 2019, more than 2 years after back-to-back hurricanes ravaged this tropical island, medical workers are still treating gunshot wounds in hallways and kidney failures in a trailer. Representatives, by giving these territories a say in the Senate, we will ensure that their voices are heard and not ignored. Disaster relief funds are not the only funds that these territories get cheated out of. They also receive significantly less money from Medicaid. According to NPR, all 5 of the U.S. territories affected are now desperately trying to figure out how to keep Medicaid running with only a fraction of the money that they've had for the last several years. But by giving these territories a seat at the table, they will not be a second-class citizen because they can advocate for themselves, so they no longer have to get mistreated. We all hate when our voices aren't heard. Don't allow the negation to silence them. Give them a voice and pass.
Thank you for that speech time of 3 minutes and 2 seconds. I repeat, 3 minutes and 2 seconds. Seeing as though that was not a first cycle speech, the chair will now hold a 1 minute questioning block. Any and all such questioners, please rise up. Senator Hurd.
Hi, Senator. Can you quickly sum up like the bad things that happened with FEMA, such as like the mishandling of funds, like that point you were?
Yeah, FEMA mismanaged funds after one of the hurricanes in 2017.
Right. Can you go over some more points that like the bad things that happened?
Why that happened?
No, but like the bad things that happened. Like elaborate on that point. It was in your first or second.
Yeah, so I mean, I said that FEMA mismanaged $257 million after Hurricane Maria. Now, obviously, that $250 million could have benefited.
How is that going to change with senatorial representation?
Because there will be.
Senator Vega.
So your entire first point is about how they don't have representation in Congress, correct?
Yes,
So how does this bill fix that?
they have representation in the Senate.
The Senate is the Senate the House of Representatives?
The Senate and the House of Representatives are both under Congress. That's
Yeah, but they're giving a senator, not a representative, correct?
Yeah. So, but they are still getting a say in the Senate,
But aren't
which is
these
still.
problems in the House of Representatives?
I mean, sure. Like they also.
Questioning time has elapsed and the speaker may take their seat.
I thought.
Motion recognized.
Motion to take a 5-minute recess to switch POs.
Any seconds? Second. Any opposition? That motion passes. We are recessed.
Okay, so go ahead and take a quick break. Go ahead and come back at 4 on the dot. Judges, go ahead and remember to give Senator Marks a 4-4-9.
They're so cold. Sorry, by the way.
I'm literally screwed. I'm like screwed.
Yeah, it's right on that. We just are on the top questions on the